that I wanted to be sure to talk about was the why behind 5 things. Because Carrie and I know why we do this, and we think we tell our why all the time, but we probably really don't. And our whys are different. My why is different than Carrie's why, and our coming up through our work and our personal lives have both been very different. Her experience with women in her corner and her support is very different than my experience with women in my corner and support. But there was a survey response the last time, after we did October, that stuck in my head, and I wanted to be sure to speak to it. So the why behind 5 things is I couldn't find this kind of community in this community when I needed it. And there were lots of great women's groups. Don't take what I'm saying to say that there aren't. But I felt I needed a group of women who worked, who managed families and households and kids, who didn't want to dress up in stuffy suits and trade a bunch of business cards, and who were looking to just strip away all of that stuff and get down to the nitty-gritty and just be who they are. Because I was lawyer Brooke, I failed to mention, I'm a lawyer. I'm an estate planning lawyer, and so there was a lot of what you're supposed to do as a lawyer, how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to act, who you're supposed to talk to, where you're supposed to go, who you're supposed to be friends with, what clubs and organizations you're supposed to belong to. You're supposed to belong to the country club, by the way. My husband hates it there. The list went on and on and on, and I had a big fat case of imposter syndrome for about a decade, because I kept trying to fit into a mold that just didn't fit who I was very well. At the last 5 things, someone wrote on their survey response that I would just like to hear from someone who is a little less accomplished and a little more like me. So, at the risk of getting all teary, I am here to tell you, I am like you.
Great.
Is that how it goes, Jeanette? Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. All right, I got it. I went to law school because my plan in college to do what I thought I was going to do didn't work out. I got to the end of college and I didn't want to do that thing. So I really did go to law school on a little bit of a whim. I know that sounds weird, but that's how it happened. In law school, I started working at Meyer Cable, and I sampled a whole bunch of different kinds of law, and I hated all of them. I'm not joking, I hated all of them. I started panicking. It was the end of my 3rd year, and I thought, oh crap, I'm not gonna like any of this stuff. I just spent 3 more years of my life, $80,000 of debt to do this, and I'm gonna hate every single minute of it. But I found a mentor, and I found a calling doing something that I love. And I do love what I do, but it was not an easy path to do that. I got married while I was in law school. We built a house while I got pregnant during my 1st year of law school. And we were building a house at the same time. And my husband at the time went and decided to get his master's degree at my urging. And then we had a baby. And then we didn't want that baby to grow up by himself, and so we had another baby. And we did a whole lot of things, a whole lot too fast. And so I got divorced when my kids were 4 and 2. So then I was a single mom. And our compensation, yeah, I've been there. Compensation system at Meyer Cable is like a commission. So I was a single mom with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old working on a commission. And sometimes my checks were like $150. But I was a lawyer, so everybody thought, have it made, right? You're a lawyer. But I didn't have it made. In the midst of all that, I lost a lot of friendships. If you've gone through a divorce, you'll find that happens sometimes. And so I was a single mom with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old working on a commission, barely making it by with a whole bunch of law school debt and no friends. And no real support system in the community. And so, this is not Brooke's sob story. This is just, if any of those things resonate with you, we're not all that accomplished. We don't have that together. We aren't just dropped on top creating things like 5 things. And if it weren't for Carrie, we all wouldn't be sitting here. Because one day when I called her while I was making dinner and I said, what if we did this? And she's like, I think we could totally do that. And we got it all ready to go, and I was like, nobody's gonna come. Nobody's gonna come. And if you've seen this on our Facebook page because I posted it, she's like, well, nobody comes. Well, no, it was a shitty idea. And so, I was hovering, because I am the keeper of the Facebook page, I'm hovering over, make this event go public and start selling tickets. And I was like, well, I guess that's true. All we have is pride. If you're like me, type A, like pride was everything, but for Carrie saying that, I wouldn't have hit publish, we wouldn't be doing our 6th edition, and you all wouldn't be sitting here in community on a Tuesday night. And so that, kids, is 5 things.